Hello my little flowers, welcome to the channel. My name is Sunny. So first I want to thank you all for supporting me and watching these videos. It really means a lot to me because I put so much work into this. So I want to remind you, if you really enjoy this video, if you find it insightful and fun to watch, go ahead and like and subscribe if you feel like it. Okay, so on to the video. So today I'll be reviewing Summer Camp Island and its take on the philosophy of art, particularly the idea of art for art's sake. For those of you who don't know, Summer Camp Island is a show that premiered on Cartoon Network in 2017. It's a show that follows two protagonists, Oscar and Hedgehog, as they discover and explore this magical island that they were brought to under the guise of being sent to a summer camp. This show is really special to me. I think it's really smart in the way that it likes to dive deep into emotional and artistic issues in a whimsical and well-informed way. I especially enjoy the fact that this show breaks down issues in a child-friendly manner, and it really reveals itself to be way more nuanced the further you look into the topics of some of these episodes. Mostly about platonic relationship issues such as codependency, betrayal, boundaries, trust issues. There's a lot. But it also tackles some bigger concepts that often go unexplored in kids' cartoons. Particularly, the one we're going to talk about today. This show's philosophy on the purpose of art, or lack thereof, I should say. So, I was binge watching this show again recently. It's my feel-good show. When I came across this episode again, I think the creators of the show were trying to say something very interesting and heartfelt with this episode. The premise of it is that the campers have an art festival where Oscar enters his painting. It's this cute little painting of a doggo in a field with a flower next to him. But he looks around and he finds that all these interesting, exciting paintings his peers made. And even though he was really proud of his work before, Oscar is now really jealous.
Hedgehog? Let's go into Oliver's painting. He...
It seems that everyone else's paintings have something insightful to say. But Oscar sees his painting as just a dog in a field. His insecurities only grow when the people around him denounce the painting in favor of what they think art means.
Hey guys, check out my painting. There's more flowers than puppies. What a riot, huh?
That's not real art.
What?
It's too cute. I'm here to see art that matters. Abstract, disorienting, depressing art. Art like Lucy's.
Sometimes, we as people can put a lot of expectations on what makes art art. It can be anything you imagine it to be. So many people have their own ideas of what art is and what art isn't. So let's explore the term art for art's sake. And then I'll tell you how I feel that art for art's sake ties into the narrative of this episode. So bear with me, I'm just going to dive deep into some art history, and then I'm going to take all that and I'm going to drag it back to the present. So here we have our protagonist, Oscar. He's asking himself, and subsequently us as the viewers, what is the value on emphasizing art for the way it functions and what it says, more so than anything else? One old answer to that question is the philosophy of art for art's sake, or l'art pour l'art. Art for art's sake has its original intent in regulating the value in the way art looks, more so than the way that art functions. Art for art's sake evolved into aestheticism, where nothing else other than the aesthetics of a painting matters, whether or not it was beautiful or evoked an aesthetic pleasure which disregards political, moral, and religious implications. The idea that art has no purpose other than aesthetics. It was a really reactive movement responding to the avant-garde. But it became a phrase that stood for a lot of different philosophies because, well, let's admit it, the phrase art for art's sake is a rather vague statement. disregarding the fact that art for art's sake was meant to promote traditional values in art and reject the modernity, it would ironically begin to stand for and inspire the avant-garde art movements in different ways. I say this is ironic because art for art's sake was coined by people who hated the avant-garde in art. But aspects of it inspired so many different things in people. Some of them rejected how much people were reading into artworks and gave people something of face value. This was when scandalous artworks were beginning to be introduced under the term art for art's sake. Then there's the decadence, which branched off from aestheticism. They emphasized art of the erotic nature as a response to strict Victorian moralism. That was their interpretation that came from art for art's sake. You have tonalism, which also branched from the aesthetic movement as they created their own aesthetic just for the sake of it. They balanced their compositions and colors just so, emphasizing mood and atmosphere to mark a specific style. And then you have Dadaism, where essentially nothing matters at all. It's just art. And while Dadaism liked to, I guess, make fun of its surroundings in a scandalous way, it was only to emphasize the fact that nothing really mattered. So you now have so many definitions that came out of art for art's sake. A bunch of different things branching off from the idea that art should only be valued for its surface value became art to be valued for its scandalous reactions to moralism. Art that should not be valued at all because nothing matters anyway. Or art that exists to evoke a tone or mark an aesthetic. I feel a lot of them honor the phrase art for art's sake in their own way. And I could have listed so many more examples. But I chose these three. These three extremely different examples that have most nothing in common other than branching off the original idea of art for art's sake. So, what does this represent? I feel like this scenario perfectly represents the nature of art history as it's been for centuries. In a way, any philosophy of art is like having fertile soil to plant your crops in. Sure, you're able to grow the plant that you envisioned growing in such a well-made soil, but you're also welcoming plants of all sorts who also grow well in similar soil, whether or not you want them to be there. One may react to this by plucking out the weeds with their own methods, or they might choose to nurture the plants that grow from the ground in hopes that one day you might have a beautiful garden. But my idea here is that while so many people have their own interpretations of a single philosophy, none of them are inherently invalid. These movements aren't mutually exclusive concepts, even though there are a ton of people who would say so. It all depends on your tastes, which you enjoy more. When an artist's inspiration is triggered by the phrase such as art for art's sake, who knows what you're going to get from that? So back to my point. Oscar's dilemma is that the other campers are so wrapped up in their own ideas of what makes art art that they completely ignore the value of other art styles. And none of them, while serving some sort of purpose by their respective art styles, can see the value or purpose of Oscar's artwork. So, Oscar now feels like his own interpretation of art is invalid. His painting sucks because it doesn't do or say anything, quite literally. While everyone else has some grand adventure going on in their art, he tries improving it, but it just comes off as desperate and fake. He doesn't like it, and he can't convince anyone else to like it either. Everybody has their advice for Oscar, which seems to make a lot of sense when implemented by them, but it doesn't make sense in regards to Oscar, no matter how hard he tries to force it to.
It's art now. You made the color darker, but you haven't changed the essence. The essence? The soul, the The meaning, the je ne sais quoi. Oscar, what is your painting saying? I don't know.
In the end, Oscar just feels like his artwork is devoid of value because it does not serve a purpose. But then he's proven wrong. That his art, just the way he made it, actually does matter. People finally found value in it. While everyone else's artworks were fun to explore and get wrapped up in, they all realized that it might be nice to look at something and not need to think about it or wonder about it.
Nice. Really?
Things don't need to be heavy to be important. As long as it's honest and it comes from you, then it's art.
One puppy and one flower is honestly me.
Wow. Whee!
Thank you, Oscar. I needed this.
There's no darkness here.
It's so calm.
And beautiful. It's really, really cute, Oscar.
I know. You already said that.
Yeah, I guess it's more than that. It's so pure. But more importantly, it makes me feel good.
Thanks, Hedgehog. I'm glad.
Some people enjoy looking at something and seeing it at face value. A relaxing meadow with puppies sniffing flowers. Art for the sake of art. What a cute little show with a wholesome message. I really like the way that they were able to communicate this point in a much less complicated way than I did. But I also really like adding little bits of art history into my arguments. So, although art for art's sake was originally meant to gatekeep art in a way, to say that art only matters if they follow these principles of design and lack completely any further nuance, the fact that so many interpretations to further the canon of art sprouted from this one original concept speaks against it and for it in some small way. Because to say that only this art should be valued will most likely turn against you eventually. You might be remembered as prioritizing what the ideal art should look like. But the mark of contemporary art is to be ever evolving. One day, your idea will become a collage of interpretations, branching off and weaving into each other. So my interpretation that I feel honors the phrase art for art's sake is that art, despite whether or not it's saying anything ambitious about the world around it, is still valid. Art should be able to exist for itself, however it wants to exist. Thank you guys so very much for watching. This video was actually really fun to make. I really enjoy the fact that, people watch my videos. I get so excited when I see that people watching my videos or commenting on my videos, and it makes me, inspired to make more. So thank you. I hope you guys have a nice day. Goodbye.
Quelqu'un frappe à ma porte, je sens mon pouls qui s'accélère, le temps s'arrête. J'ouvre la porte, c'était l'amour, oui c'était lui que j'attendais. Et lui le feu qui me consume, ce même homme qui m'allume, qui me enchaîne, qui me rend bête et qui m'éteint quand ça lui chante.